All right, back at it. We're working on the CLI today, making some nice improvements. Most importantly, I'm trying to set it up so that when you initialize a project, you kind of can choose your backend, and it will kind of strip out the unnecessary things, which will help with just the code generation time. It'll help with complexity, the extra files that you will never need. That's essentially the plan here, but I'm still going to allow people to use the default like it works now where, all is set and you get the different pieces. What I've last did is basically set up the different files when it is just Django for the data source provider, which is the main thing that needs to change. Next, we need to actually delete the data sources that don't matter anymore. So, let's see, do I already have a remove file? I don't think so. Let's see, best way to do this. How can I delete a file? Move directory, we'll have delete file, should be static. Bim, bim, bim. I guess this can be async. I guess, yeah, we can kind of do this. Let's just make this synchronous. So let's have a list of string called, and it's going to be actually final, files to delete. We'll just instantiate it. Is this? Oh, man. Okay, so if someone chooses this one, files to delete.add, we basically need to add in, maybe we can have a, I guess that can't be a const. Final, Flutter feature base path is going to be equal to that. And we'll actually keep the slash right there. And then that means I can basically actually just do this here. And then for this, we would use that same thing. But we basically need to delete it up into here. Or I guess here. Copy, so we can copy the relative path, which is handy. I'm just paste it down here for reference. And okay, so our path is all the way up to brick, meaning we actually need all of this stuff. So we'd have that, the data source server pod, and the data source Supabase. Then we'll copy this double line here and put them here, but this time we want to keep server pod and change it to Django. And in this case, we want to keep Supabase, but we want to get rid of Django. Yep, that looks right. And then actually, let's make a void static void delete files, which will take a list of string source paths. And we can just basically go for final source path in source paths, delete file, and type in source path. And we don't have to await because we're using delete sync and whatnot. Okay, cool. So then really just at the end of this, we can just go delete files. Maybe we'll do that after. This is file utils dot delete files, and we'll pass in files delete, which might be empty. If you choose all, currently it would be empty, but that's totally fine. And we can get rid of this. Okay, let's save that. And hey, Deepraj, how you doing today? Thanks for hanging out. Okay, let's test this out. So I'm being very careful with my commits because a lot of the work I'm doing here is destructive, and I just need to be able to stash, get back to where we were at. Okay, so we would type init, make this a little bit bigger for us, and doesn't really matter what the name of the project is. And let's say we want Django, we want to use material design. Let's see. So it deleted, this is the, yeah, it looks like it deleted the files that we expected. And then you also see that the data source provider has been simplified just to the Django one. Beautiful. And this one should be the implementation. Yeah. Okay, cool. So let's stash that because I don't actually want those files gone, but we'll do a status first. And just see. Yeah, I think that's exactly what I wanted. Okay. So that's good. What else do we want to do on a project initialization? I guess like the code generation stuff, although that's not really on the project generation, that'll happen. I think we probably need a way so that, because right now we have like this constants file, which is in here. All this stuff is good. Except our server backend should be something that comes from our configuration file. Or we just need to get a different way. I'm going to turn this off or erase it and just see where we have problems. Perfect. Okay, so this is in libmodels. Okay. Let's make a getter for this. We'll have it'll return basically a server backend option. Get server backend option, which actually will put all here as well. We'll see if that'll work. I don't think this has to be async though. So first of all, we need to get access to the config file. File, and we use our file utils dot. This would be inside the CLI directory. And we put a trailing slash, and it's just, I think, config houston.config.json. And then we can go final config file contents equals, we would do file dot, or how do we do this? Config file dot read as string sync. Okay, that should say content, not context. Final config data is going to be JSON decode. Our content. I wonder actually, let's make this not return that. Get server, or let's just go get config. And we can actually have a model that represents our config. Houston config. We might move this to its own file. So we'll have a final string of, let's start with this. Then we'll have a final string of project name. And I think there's something else in here. Oh, the UI. Front end UI option. And we would have material. Cupertino. Shad CN, and the other one I want to use is for UI, for however you say that. Let's put project name first, project name, backend option, and UI, front end UI. Or we can probably just call this backend, or let's call it server backend. I mean, backend's fine. Cool. Then we'll add these, and then we'll have a from JSON factory, or not even a factory, just a static from JSON. Or wait, how do you do this? From JSON. Return Houston config. Where we have the project name, JSON name, backend. Oh yeah, we're storing these as numbers, so really put this at the end. Server backend option. Make this just work. Oh, this should be dot values. And front end will be pretty similar. Call it UI. Okay, cool. And then we're basically going to return a version of Houston config dot from JSON and pass in the config data. Okay, let's move this. Oops. Oh, I just collapsed it. I see the problem. Okay. Let's move this to its own file. Whereas this is in constants. Let's go to lib. New file called config.dart. And we're going to grab this stuff here. And let's actually grab, obviously, the Houston config model. I feel like we could probably just put this right on. Just have a static class get config. And I feel like these can probably go within here as well. We don't need any of that stuff there. Okay. Now all of our stuff, this still needs to be fixed. So what's a good way to let's just try here. So we could just do config equals get config, or be Houston config dot get config, like that. I feel like I can Probably just put this at the top of the file. And then it would be if config dot backend equals that. Okay. There's probably a way to make this like a singleton, but honestly, it's not really that important because it's going to read this file real quick. And then we got to find our errors and basically do the same thing. Okay, so now we have access to the config. Now, something I want to do in the get config is if that file doesn't exist, we need to do a problem, or we need to raise an error. Config exists equals file. Oh, I guess we can do it right here. We can just do like if not config exists. We're gonna throw let's print using red. Did red not import? I don't think I imported the right red. What's this? That should work. What? I think that like came from the wrong spot. Yeah, we wanted the one with the function. Print red. Just say config file not found. Has this project been initialized yet? Oops. And we'll just raise or throw an error. I guess we can just have this message. I think this will work. Okay, let's just test this out in our main.dart, or our CLI.dart rather. Let's just call that get config thing. Okay, and if I was to, for instance, not have that file, which is this, I think we should see an error. No, we didn't. Okay. Is it because it's not in the main.dart? Maybe. Yeah, there you go. Config file not found. Okay, cool. Okay, so we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. So we could do here is return get config. Turn null. So then we can have something like config equals Houston config dot get configure null. So this can return a null version and won't throw that error. Or yeah, because we haven't had try catch, it should be fine. And let's just go print config. We should also have a toJSON maybe, or a toString. What's going on? ToString. What am I doing wrong here? Oh, I'm putting this in the wrong spot. Haha. Put it at the bottom here. Let's try that again. ToString, override to string. There we go. So let's return I guess we could also have a toJSON. Name. That won't actually quite work, but that file's gone now. Yeah, front end and then UI. Front end UI. And then our toString can return JSON encode. Our toJSON, or our to JSON, which should be reference that. Yeah. Okay, now we actually need semicolon there. Final string or int of let's just call it like value. Zero, 1, 2, 3. And we essentially do the same thing for this. 0, 1, 2, 3. That way, when we actually save this, we can say dot value, dot value. Okay, cool. So let's get configure null. If we print this, it should just print null when it starts up. Did null, perfect. So in our init project function, we should check final config equals Houston config dot get config or null, and we should say if config does not equal null. It can be like print red project already initialized. And then we can ask re-initialize anyways. Is that like a word? Yeah, it seems to be. Okay, we don't even need the dash apparently. They should continue because this, but there's probably something better than ask because we want like an ask for Boolean. What is this? This is our ask.dart confirm. That's probably what we want. There we go. If not, should continue. We're going to just return out of this. Cool. Let's try this out. So it is null, so we shouldn't get that right now. Also, actually, before I do this, config. Hey, Yosef, how are you? We're working on a CLI, command line interface tool for my framework. All right. Right now we're dealing with configuration options. Okay, so we'll type in it. We shouldn't see that warning. Okay, I'm just gonna call it Tyler. I'm gonna choose Django. I'm gonna choose material. Okay, cool. So that should have done the normal stuff. Let's just see. It created my config. Let's look at that file. Config.json. Awesome. Let us make sure that this is working. So let's exit out of this and write in our CLI.dart. Let's print the config again. So this time we should see it. There it is. Backend data. Cool. So if I try and initialize now, we get project already initialized, reinitialize anyway, so I even know we should get out of it. Yeah. Let's try again and do yes. Cool. Okay. So that's good. I think now that we have the config stuff, we can refactor the way this works. So let's actually add final string label. Right. And for all of these, we will put a label. Server pod, Supabase, Django, and all. And same with this. Material, Cupertino, Shad CN, and for UI. Okay, so that means now our backend options can actually be, we're going to use server backend options.values. And then that's our options. Does this allow any type of thing? Looks like it. So let's actually do that menu and do server backend option. Then it will know that this is a list of server backend options, and basically backend index equals backend options. Yeah, that should work. UI options, same thing, except front end UI options dot values. This will just be a lot more type safe. And then I feel like, okay, backend result, we don't really need to store the index anymore. We can actually use backend dot value and UI result dot value. We're not going to worry about this stuff right now. And handle backend option here, we're going to pass in the backend results, which now will take a server backend option. And then for our cases, we can now change this to use the enum. Django. We'll just change all these. This is just a lot cleaner. Server pod, Supabase, and all. Awesome. All right, let's make sure that oh wait, shit. Actually, this is fine. Okay, so if we do get status now, Yeah, I just want to basically, I'm actually going to go into the lib folder here because nothing destructive should be happening in our lib folder, and I can just commit stuff in here without the other stuff. Config refactor, push that. We'll do a git stash again. So that loses our, oh, it won't actually lose this because it's not even tracked yet. That's fine. Um, yeah, let's just delete that file. And we'll initialize. You see that the backend options, yeah. So Ammon has a question. When specifying name for the project, I see basically every working good backend for Flutter except Node. So technically this does support Node. I really, in some way, considered making the Django option just RESTful, and in fact, I call it the RESTful client and stuff like that. Because really, from front end, from Flutter's point of view, like yeah, it'll it doesn't really care if it's Django, Node, Fast API, all that kind of thing. However, in our case, we do generate backend code, specifically the Django code when you choose that option. So I would, to get like the full, end-to-end full stack support, yeah, you'd have to use, you currently can't use Node because I haven't built that stuff. But you could, of course, use this, choose Django as the option and build your own thing, and then the Flutter app would work fine because it's just a RESTful API. Now in the future, yeah, there might be a Node option. I have lots of ideas for backends. So we'll see. Init. Let's try initializing Tyler. Oh, that's not ideal. So we want the options actually. Oh no. Is there like a option for? Let me just see. Custom prompt format. That's exactly what I want. I think. So format. We'll just have like v for value, and really want to take v.label. Oh, that's perfect. DCLI is awesome. I'll do the same for here too. Because I want to display it to the users, the label, but I still want to be like working with it as the enum, basically. So let's try that again. Init. Tyler. There. They're showing up nicely. We'll choose, oh no, the options are in an order that I don't like anymore. Why is, oh, it's just literally the option I did. I don't know why I guess because I pulled this from else. I want Django first, then serverpod, then Supabase, that all. Yeah. Let's run again. We type init, we type one, or we type Tyler as my name, one, material. Okay, so that should have made us a config file that has Tyler backend as 2. Oh, because I didn't shoot. Not that it really matters, but let's put these in a good order. And let's see if our reinit actually works. So it's going to warn us, hey, it's already initialized. Yes, I'd like to still continue. Tyler 2, we'll call it. Django 1. So now our config file should say Tyler 2, backend 0, UI 1, or UI 0. Beautiful. We're off to the races. Okay, so now let's just close a whole bunch of stuff because I got a lot open. Now what we need to do is handle what actually gets generated. So I'm going to just look for Houston config. So we have it in here, but that's just for us to, that was just for testing. We don't really need that there, I think, right? No, we don't. Okay. I mean, we might decide we need it at some point, but we'll get rid of that one. Okay, init project. Okay, scaffold feature. So let's look at all of our instances of config. So for this, we need to say if it equals this, or technically if it equals all, we still want to do it. So probably this cleaner way to do that would be if, and then we can take our 3 things. Dot all dot contains config dot backend. And that will basically replace this check here. So this will prompt people like, do they want to generate the migrations? Otherwise, like we just set those to false because there's no migrations for Superbase. Although it does generate the SQL, I guess, but it's a little bit different. Okay, these are all good. Let's look for the next instance of it. Or I guess. Okay, I guess that's it in the scaffolding of the feature, at least currently. Let's see what config is being used for here. Model annotations, yeah, so if it is server pod, we don't do that because server pod does all the model stuff for us. And then for this, actually, wait, I might have missed one. We did not. Server pod, server backend is server pod. Yeah, that looks right. Server backend is server base. Okay, so we're good on that front. Now, the next thing I want to do is make it so that let's go to my scaffold feature again. Let's actually just step through this and think about it with this new perspective. Cool. So what do we actually do? Yeah, that's just like saying you can't use those names for your feature. Then we get the directory, then we parse the blueprint. If generate server is true, okay, yeah, this is where we really only want to call this stuff if config.backend dot or backend equals, oops, that's it, server backend option dot server pod. So only if it equals server pod or it equals all. Right. So if those things are true, we basically go and do all this stuff. And oh, we also want to do, this is like the generating of the server pod code. Generate migrations. This is all still server pod. Run migrations. Run post formatter. It's a lot of stuff. Cool. Then for Superbase, we basically do the same thing. If config dot backend equals server backend dot Superbase, or because again, if you choose all, we want to generate all this stuff. We do this stuff. Wait, why is server pod? This shouldn't be called server pod serializer. It should be called Superbase serializer. That's just a typo. And then here, if it's basically gonna be the same thing, so we'll just grab this line. It equals Django, or it equals all. This is all the Django stuff. Django. That's still Django. That's still Django. That's still Django. Now we're doing the feature. This is still Django. This is still Django. Wow, okay, cool. So we can just put that there. If generate Flutter is true, yeah, this will all be the same. The difference, what did I want to do? There was something different, I think. This is still within the Flutter one. Yay! Okay, I think we got this. Let me just see, get status. So yeah, we're gonna get add everything in this file. I'm just gonna write WIP. Now we should still have those ones on track. So we can now stash those changes and delete our config so we can kind of start over. What else do I want to do? I think we should also delete the example. Or maybe we just don't need the example one anymore. Let's see, lib. Using Flutter, lib, core. Auth, profile, asset, and core. Do I delete movie? Let's delete it. And then we will have some issues because everything's trying to get the movie. Yeah, we kind of do need something for so the app can actually build. Maybe I shouldn't have deleted that. Or at least we need to generate a new one. Let's put it back if I can. Trash. Movie. This is probably it. Yep. Okay. Put back. Now we're good again. That was easy enough. Okay, so oh yeah, I know what else. So the other problem is basically we would also need to replace because like the built-in ones already have the if you choose Django, we don't want to have the server pod and super base one in there, which means those files have to be deleted and the provider itself, which is in domain providers, data source provider, this has to use the correct one. Cool. So I think what we'll do is essentially have, not in client, but in lib. Not even in lib. Bricks, dynamic bricks. So it wouldn't be in bricks. It's not really a brick. It would be a called well, let's make it called files. Files is a weird word. Let's just call it Flutter files. Whoa. And let's just actually break it up into asset. And we'll have a new one called asset data source provider. Well, we'll start with the whatever this one is. Data source provider. And we'll just call it Django. Dart. And we need these not to be analyzed. Let's go to our analysis options for the CLI. We also want to make sure that, oh, this shouldn't be in bin. Should it be in bin? No, it should not be in bin. It should be right in here. So we want to ignore flutter files /*. Shouldn't that get rid of those? Yes, it does. Beautiful. Okay, so this would be the one that uses this data source. Yeah. Okay, so that's cool. Similarly, provider server pod. So for this, it should be, we just change this to server pod, and then I believe that's probably, yep, cool. And we need to do the same one for asset data source provider. Supabase. And the same kind of thing, we just change this to Supabase, and this should just be called Supabase. Yeah, I was able to find it. Okay, so let's test this out just with asset. We have to do the same thing for auth, and probably for profile too, if I even want to keep that in here. I probably do. Okay, so basically now when we do the init project, um, I guess we need one for all as well, which I might have in auth data sources. Or no, that's not where it would be. It would be in domain, data sources, domain, providers, auth data source provider. What the heck's this? Oh, yeah, that's just to initialize that stuff. We also don't need any of this. However, basically our all one will look a lot like this, except we are going to switch on this. Go like that. And we need to import the other two ones, Django and server pod and Supabase. So that's for all. This I'll keep for now. Okay, so when we initialize the project, basically if it's Django, let's just have asset data source provider name. Not data, asset data source provider name. Okay, so we'll grab all these. Asset, asset, asset. And we just have to change these. And all. And then we're going to do another copy thing. File utils dot copy file overwrite, and our source path will be file utils dot CLI directory slash Flutter files slash, and then it's going to be the name that we did here. But then the destination will be Flutter feature base path slash auth slash basically this stuff, domain, providers. Oh, wait, this isn't the right spot. I want to actually move it into file utils dot flutter directory slash, just remember how this works. It's be slash lib slash features slash auth. Where was I editing here? lib slash features slash auth slash domain slash providers slash, and then we actually have to call it auth data source provider dot dart. And then we basically also want to delete, or are we already doing that? No, we're not, because we need to do it for within the Flutter app itself. So we can do files to delete. It'll be kind of like the start of this. We'll just go to here. Because of the lib feature auth, we want to delete the inside data. Data will have the different ones that we don't care about. Auth data source server pod dot dart. And one more. So we want to delete the Supabase one. And similarly in here, we'd want to delete Django. And then in here, we'd want to delete Supabase. Or sorry, keep Supabase, delete Django. Okay, I think that will clean up the auth. So basically, this would go down. These two files would be removed. This would be replaced with the one without the switch. And then I think we're good. Okay. Okay, I basically want to add everything in here. Git add analysis options, git add Flutter files. Git status, I should still have that one. Yep. Okay, so git commit dash m, work in progress, push, and git stash to get it back to how it will be when you check it out. Okay, so let's see if this works. So we're going to do init. Name of the project will be Tyler. And we're going to choose Django. We're going to choose material. And there we go. File does not exist. Users Tyler project Houston using CLI Flutter files asset. Flutter files slash asset. Oh, I missed the word asset. Course. Where were we doing that? It would be in the. This is in the copy, I assume. Yeah, copy overwrite. Flutter files. We need the word asset here. Actually, let's stash our changes and let's save this now and let's run it again. Yes, we'll reinitialize Tyler 1 1. Okay, so now, okay, we see some errors. I wonder, do we have to do the same for repository? Auth data source provider. Oh, what am I doing? God. Let's stash these changes again. I'm like mixing up auth and asset. This should be asset. Lib features asset. Do I have the word auth in here anywhere? Why are these called auth data source? What am I just totally had a major brain fart here. These should all be asset. And this should be asset. Why do I still have a error? Did I stash my changes? Oh, the error's gone. Okay. Cool. Let's go into the lib. git add dot git commit dash m. Oops. Git push. And let's try running this again. Shouldn't have errors after this, ideally. Init, yes, Tyler, 1, 1. Oh, Project Houston CLI, Flutter files. Okay, there's still. Oh, right, because I saved that after. Oh, I thought I committed that change. Let me see. Features asset. Oh wait, no, that's not the right thing. It's this one right here. Flutter files slash asset slash that. Okay. Okay, we want to add this file. And then we do a stash. Oh, right. It's because I probably stashed. Oh, I think you can stash anywhere, right? Okay. Git status. Let's run this again. Okay. Do we have any errors on the Flutter side? Doesn't look like it. So inside asset, we should now have a provider that is just one. Yes, we do, and it's choosing the Django one. And for data sources, we only have the one. Great. Okay, so we have to do this exact same thing for auth. So let us figure out that. Auth, data sources. That's fine because it's going to delete those when we're done. But the thing we needed was domain, providers, auth data source provider. Okay. Let me just put this back in. We can also do that. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab this and we're going to go to our Flutter files, a new folder called auth. We're going to do the all one first. Auth data source provider all.dart. And that is basically going to be this, which now we don't need anything to do with Superbase. Oh, wait, sorry. With all, we do need everything. Yes. Okay. Actually, we still need that too. REST session provider. Wait, where's the Django one? Django data source, Django implementation, which we have. Yep. And the Django one, does it require two things? It requires actually three things. Oopsie. Let's just see what this looks at. We need the storage provider too. Okay, that should solve that, but we need to also make sure that's being imported. Storage provider it is. Okay, so that's our all one. It's so messy. Then auth data source provider Django.dart. So for this case, we would basically just return this. We still want to read the REST provider. And we can get rid of all of this. And now we can get rid of anything to do with Serverpod and Supabase. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. Okay, that should do it. Oh, then what actually gets passed into this? I took the wrong one. Oh, shit, actually. This should be, not that. Should be this. Right, because I'm, okay, for this one, we would use this. Let's use the REST client stuff. And then in the Django one, we actually do the same thing. Okay, cool. And whatever, I'll just save that for now, or this is gonna get overwritten very soon, so whatever. Let's keep that just in case. Okay, so now we would take this again. Super fun. We grab this. We need the server pod one that will be returned. We actually don't have to even do the REST session provider if they're only using server pod. Which means all of this stuff can go away, including that. And then we can get rid of anything with Django, Supabase. We need the data source. We need that. Supabase we keep. Wait, what did I? Oh no, Supabase we get rid of. This is server pod. Supabase we can get rid of. We don't need the storage provider. We don't need the session manager provider. We need that. We don't need that. And we don't need that. Oh wait, server pod session manager provider. What the heck's that? Oh, we did need. Okay, we did need something there. Should probably rename that, but that's okay. Okay, cool. We can get rid of that. Get rid of that. But keep that one. Okay, cool. Then lastly, I hope, new file called auth data source provider Supabase. And in this case, we just grab the Supabase one. Simple, simple. Get rid of all that. And yeah, we can get rid of anything that's not Supabase related. That should work. Okay, cool. Yeah, whatever. This file's gonna be dead soon anyways. Okay. Let's go back to our knit project. So basically now, we want to do the same thing. So if they choose Django, we want to do this, but for, oh, what the heck? Oh no. There should be asset. How did, I guess it's fine. And then we do the same for auth. Auth. And auth. Then we need to obviously copy that stuff too. So this should be basically the same. Auth, auth, auth. And auth data source name we need to do too. Super fun. And this should be Supabase. Then we need to use this one here. So, okay, it's going to copy from there. Oh, we also need the one here. Beautiful. Commit everything inside the lib. Oh no, we also want to commit. Okay. All right. we need to git add of the Flutter files. What? Oh, I see. Untracked files. Yeah, we want to add within the lib the change that we did and add the Flutter files. Get stash. Get status should be clean now. Okay, let's try it. Oops. Emit. Yes, we'd like to emit. It'll be called Tyler 1 1. Okay, cool. So we should see auth providers should just be pointing to the 1. Yeah, okay, there's two things we can actually get rid of. We don't need the session manager provider or the constants. Let's fix that in Django. So we don't need constants and we don't need the session manager provider, just to make it nice. I imagine for server pod, we need that stuff, except we don't need the constants. And for Superbase, we don't need the constants and we don't need the, I guess that one's already gone. Okay, cool. Let's see if it's the same situation here. Don't need constants there. We don't need constants there. Okay, cool. Do we have any problems? No, seems like it all worked. Okay, so yeah, just to be clear, let's see. We'll just remove these because that's what I just did. Okay, so that one looks fine. And then for data sources, we just have, sorry, that's the wrong one. Data sources, we should, ooh, we didn't delete those files. I don't think we made it delete those files actually. New projects. Files to delete. Lib features, auth, data. Oh, I think we missed something here. It should still be /auth, or no, data/data sources. Okay. Oh, man. Cool. All right. We'll add our lib, git add Flutter files, git commit -m. Get rid of our changes. And let's try that again. Cool. Okay. So now, yeah, we just have the one data source now. This worked. And let's just check asset, data sources. Yeah, we just have the one. And in the domain provider that links it up, there it is. Boom. Cool. Now, what other built-in features do we have? Wicked. Let us actually test out the other part of the flow. Okay, I think we can stash all these changes. I'm going to init the project again. And now we'll type help and we'll do scaffold. The feature name is movie. Let's make sure we have the blueprint for that. So I'm just gonna actually let's delete the movie folder so we can kind of get it from scratch. Delete movie folder. Okay. Let's make sure we have the blueprint for movie. Yeah, it looks good to me. Let's generate the server code. Let's generate the DB migrations. We're not going to run the DB migrations. We're going to generate the Flutter code. Yeah, we'll update the routes. We'll update the navigation. We'll post generate. Service web is not running. That's okay. Probably should have this started. And then let's see what errors we get, if any. Looks like we do have an error. REST client provider. Okay, so we missed these two files somehow in the movie data source provider, which would be part of our bricks, dynamic bricks. So for the Django one, we basically just have to add these two to the top, and then it should work. Oh, but we don't need the server pod client. Awesome. So we'll just kind of set that how it was. Do we have any other errors? That's fine. That's just YAML errors. Beautiful. Okay, so what's cool now is when we generate things, we're not getting all the additional backend option bridges. So that's cool. Let's actually see what our changes look like. Nice. Yeah, I think maybe we don't even ship it with movie. People can just generate, we can just generate our, based on that blueprint, generate it and get it the way that you want. So yeah, we're going to delete this fully, which is going to cause issues because, yeah. Hmm. You know what? Maybe we'll just keep it. Yeah, I think we'll keep it so that stuff's just set up with one. And then you can just delete it. All right. Good status. Okay, so we'll get rid of the config. Um, okay, I don't want to add the bricks changes. What? Oops. Git add. And this is just the brick stuff, so we will stash those changes. I think, oh shit, no, I don't want to, because we did do, it was the ones inside Flutter feature. think. Wait, dynamic bricks. Is that where I made those changes? Yeah. Um, Stash those. All right, cool. This is good. This is good. Now, what about for profile? This profile is a special one. Make sure that's true. Profile. I think it's special. Because, yeah, if you can't generate it, it's obviously special. So I think we just want to do the same sort of step with profile. So what we could do is for final feature in auth asset auth asset and profile, we can essentially just grab these two lines and superpod superbase, but use the word asset just as feature. Oh, I guess we do need a thing here because the underscore, and then we get rid of those. And then basically we do the same thing for these four, but we have to just make this a, let me just actually paste it in and copy these. So we're deleting Django and Superbase. Okay, this is a lot easier to work with. And we do the same in here for these four. But we need to make them Django and ServerPod. And then we can delete all these. Wait, not all those, just these four. Okay, that makes it a little bit more manageable for us. What is this doing again? I guess we just need one for profile too. So we do profile data source, and then basically just make this auth thing say profile both times. And then copy this guy, put it here, change this to server pod. And here, change this to Superbase, and keep everything else. And then here, right, we need this to say all. Then we basically just take this, and where it says auth, we change this to profile. And it would be profile data source. And then this will be profile. And this will be profile. And that should clean up our profile stuff so that it stays. Awesome. Okay, to do. Do I have a to-do task for this? I feel like, let's put it here. Stripping out unused backends. Okay, I kind of want to test this out properly now. So let's do that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go to GitHub /TylerSavory/Houston, which is where you can find this. We'll see 6 minutes ago commits. Yeah, this seems like the right spot. And we're going to copy this. And I'm going to go to here. Oh, you know what else we should be doing? We should also be deleting a bunch of folders. Yeah, because basically we don't need the, if it's server pod, we need some things. Yeah, okay, let's do that before we test this out for real. And I think I already have a delete file. We also need a delete folder then. Delete folder. How does that work? Sync directory. Source path. We'll call this dir, or let's just call it directory. If it exists, we delete. I'm assuming this works the same. Delete sync. Recursive is false. If recursive is false, recursive is false by default. No, we want to put true in here. Oh, recursive true. Yeah, I mean, clearly we want to do the whole thing. Okay, so we can just do that. Maybe we make a list of string of folders to delete, or we call it directories. Directories to delete, and let's actually call this delete directory. Okay, so basically in here we would do directories to delete dot add. We'd essentially want to add in file utils dot. Just go to our file utils. Oh, I'm already in it. Flutter directory, server pod directory. Okay, Houston root. What the heck's that? We just use file.houston root slash. So this is Django. We can basically get rid of Houston client. We can get rid of, and let's put a trailing slash. I don't know if it's necessary, but we will. We can get rid of Houston server. And we can get rid of Houston Supabase. Okay, here, do it right after. Folders to directories to delete. In the case that we are doing server pod, we need to keep the client and server, but we are going to keep get rid of Django. And similarly, I wanted to take the first one. If you choose Supabase, we delete. We gotta get rid of the client, the server, and Django. Let's change that. Remove directories. Oh, we didn't save this file. Cool. Now let's test this out. Okay, so we should see an update now. Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of figure this out. I think I have a temp directory. Yep, let's do it in there. Git clone Houston, Houston test. Houston test. Let's open this up. yes, I trust the authors. And we go into the CLI, and we will need to do a dart pub get. Then let us run the CLI. bin/cli.dart. Okay. What? How come? I thought I upgraded. What? Is there a difference right here? Dart version 3.8 by 1. Dart version, or Dart dash version 3.8 by 1. What? How does that make any sense? Where is this error? What? Do I need to like compile something first? Bin CLI. This is bizarre. I'm in the right directory. Dart pub get. Is there like some untracked file that is the Dart tool, but that shouldn't matter, and I should have that now. Yep. What the heck? Okay, maybe wait. Houston test. Is there a pubspec.lock? Does this have a pubspec.lock? Are they the same? Let's just maybe I have to run like an upgrade. Um, what the H? Okay, let's play here for a sec. Like, why would it work here? It's the same code. Okay. What? Let's just get the latest versions. I wonder if I like stashed a pub spec change or something. Yeah, because I remember doing this. Let's pub updates, get push. Let's also just do a dart pub get and make sure stuff still works. And dart CLI or bin/CLI, make sure that still works. Cool. Okay, let's try this again. We're pulling those changes, dart pub get, and then let's just do rm-rf.get because we don't want to actually accidentally change here. Oh, we have to go back a directory. rm-rf.get. All right. Go to our CLI, dart bin/CLI. And we'll do a knit project. Let's call it Houston test. We're going to use Django. We're going to use material. Oh, wow. Oh, I missed. We did the profile stuff, but frig. Ah, I forgot to actually copy that over, which was the most annoying part of this. Okay, let's fix that. So Flutter files, we also need, I feel like it would be pretty similar to asset. Let's just copy this. Profile, and then we'll just rename these all to say profile. It's a little bit faster to rename them here. Now, if it was a ton of files, there's ways you can do that in the command line. Okay, so now we actually have those, but they need to obviously be updated. So let's go to our Houston Flutter lib features profile. Domain providers, data source provider. Okay, so we didn't even have it for Django in here. So weird. Okay, so all this stuff should, anytime it says asset, we definitely want to rename that to profile. And then this should also be profile. Provider, this should be profile data source. And then this should be called profile data source. Okay. So I think that's the right idea. Let's just make sure there's nowhere reference to asset or auth. Okay. And then we'll basically open up the other one. So Django. I recopied it. So the only change here we care about, oh wait, okay, this isn't gonna work. We're still missing another case here. Dot server dot Django. Django implementation. Yep. And we also need to ref.read the storage one. So where do we have this? I think in auth. Session manager. REST client. I feel like we need a whole bunch of this stuff. We need the REST session provider. We need the storage provider. All right. It's closer. Okay. I mean, let's save that and hope for the best. Then for Django, it's basically going to be us returning this right from here. Django for server pod. We're going to return this, but grab just server pod. And there's obviously some things we can get rid of. We won't need the Django. We won't need Supabase. We won't need the storage provider. I think we still need those. Wait, no, we wouldn't need the REST client or this. But we would need, there should be something else for server pod. The server pod client. REST client. Yeah, there should be something else here. We need constants in here. And we will need the server pod client provider. And we need the session manager provider. Do I have that? I don't think so. What is going on here? And the Supabase client provider. Okay, I think that's everything. So let's just do this again. So for Django, we're going to copy all those things, and we're just going to grab Django, and we're going to put it in. Same thing for server pod, grab all that stuff, but we're just going to keep server pod. Oh my God. Just get that. And then for Supabase, same thing, except we just need Supabase. Cool. Now, going through all three of these again. Oh, how'd that happen? Do we have an error in all those? There we do. And even here. Okay, now going through Django. We won't need anything to do with server pod. I think we need the session manager still. Why does Django say server pod client provider? What the heck is going on, man? What the heck is going on? Asset all. Whoa. Okay, there's some major freaking issues here. This should be asset. That should be asset. I'm just bewildered. And we should have, okay, let's do auth all. This is actually what we want to put in. Oh, wait. We want to basically grab this and put this in here. And this should be asset. Okay. We basically need that same thing in profile now for the Django one. Oh, the Django. We want this in the Django one, but we want to change it to profile. This is so confusing. Then we also want this in the all version, profile data source all. For some reason, it likes the server pod stuff here. I don't know how I'm making these mistakes. Guess I'm tired. Okay. Asset data source provider uses that. Auth data source provider. Okay. Let's look at all these. So all, these should all be asset based. Asset. There should be asset for Django. But this isn't right, because this should also be passing in the other things. How is this happening? Did I do it right for auth? Yeah, see, this is right. Okay, so asset data provider all. That one's correct. This should be this. No, this should be one more. We need one more import. So we need these things. And for some reason, we also don't have the... Where's our rest session? What is going on here? Oh, we have the rest client. We need the rest session, and we need the storage. Okay. This is provider. This is asset Django. Asset Django looks reasonably good. All. We also need to import those three things, or at least the two that are missing. And like, where's our server pod imports? What is happening? Jesus Christ. Yeah, like we need all these imports. Where did they go? That one's fine. Okay, this one's seems fine. Oh, but we also need the constants. Why aren't they being imported either? And then we need the asset data source as well. Is that in here at all? Yeah. I don't know why. Okay. This is a mess, man. It's such a mess. It's because those files got removed. Shit. We need to get those files back. I think that's part of our problem too. I guess we have them technically. Oh, this is such a mess. Just trying to make it better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is reveal in Finder. And let's also reveal this in Finder. What the hell just happened? Wow. Did that just crash? My VS Code just completely crashed. Or just the window. What? It's like back as if it wasn't crashed. That's so weird. Did I just go to my... Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, so on the Flutter side, features, let's do asset first. Data, data sources. And then on this side, we'll do CLI, Flutter files, asset, and we need to grab all these guys. Cool. Then we'll do the same for auth. Auth seems to still have them. Or wait, is that the source? No, that's the source, right? So it might not have them. Data, data sources. Yeah, okay, auth. We need to grab everything except for Django. And then let's just also look at movie. I think this is fine. This one's fine because that's not even a core one. And then for here, data, data sources, data sources, server pod, Supabase, profile. Oh, no, that's not right. What the hell? Actually, wait, these aren't the right. All right, I need a break. This is getting me really frustrated. I'm going to sign off. I'll see you guys later.